Always this guy. What's up, everyone? My name is Keho. Today we are bringing you guys the Paragon Developer live stream. We're talking about Morigesh. I'm joined by my good friend Nathan Mooney.
Hello.
Andrew Baines, and good man Ben.
It's me.
Today we are going to focus all on Morigesh. We do have some fine things to show you guys with this update that's coming out tomorrow with V39. So we're going to actually hop in game for a little bit and talk through that. We have animators and effects that'll come on, and we have two community guys, Damon and John, that will be on to talk through all of the things that they do over on the forums and on the Reddit space. It's going to be a good time. Damon actually made the Greystone comic.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
I saw that
we were
getting shared around today.
we were at dinner night. He was telling us the in-depth investigative analysis he was doing into Greystone, very specifically looking for things in the armor.
Okay.
He was it's interesting. We'll go into depth later when he gets on, but he had some interesting investigative tactics.
It'll be a good time.
Yeah.
So hopping right in to the changes that are coming into V39. If you guys remember, the last few dev streams, we've gone a little bit out into the future to talk through some of the updates that are coming in some of these changes. So today we're actually going to show you something that's coming out in 39.1, which is next week, but it's just part of the build that we have on. So you guys get a little bit of a treat today when we talk through some of these changes. So for 39, the big thing is obviously Morigesh coming out. Can't wait to talk about her. But there's also a visual update changes coming to Monolith with V39. And we wanted to hop in the game, talk through these very quickly.
What better way to show them, Kale?
What better way to show you guys than to hop in the game?
Really, the experience.
And show you guys these changes. Now, my account, mind you, some of these changes that come through, you guys know we changed around the how we unlock Hero. So we're going to choose the Fae.
Right. Fitting.
Right? How
really
fitting.
Just, necessary.
You guys know the lore, the Fae.
Yeah.
And we're going to walk through in the Solo vs. AI game some of these changes that are coming to Monolith and the jungle tomorrow morning. This is some good stuff. Now, some of the design goals around this are featured very prominently on our visual updates blog, but this was done in an effort to really make the jungle a little bit more competitive, and Ben might be able to add a little bit to that and fix a lot of the spacing and some of the clipping and or exploitable issues that we saw previously. So let's go ahead and select this, boom, and close this because we're just going to walk around for a few minutes. So obviously we hop into base. We are on Dawn's side and things look a little different. So the visual aesthetic that we're going for here is actually more in line with the tone that you guys will see with some of these changes. You guys see the grass. The grass is back.
I just want to lay down in that grass. That's what I want to do.
You want to lay down?
I just want to like take a nap in that grass.
Yeah.
Looks comfortable.
So we're in the jungle. Things have been opened up a little bit. You guys see the arches are gone. One of the big issues, and again, Ben, you guys can speak to this because the competitive team was talking quite a bit about this. Spacing, clipping, some of those tight corners have been opened up, and you guys have a lot more space. Now, if I'm not mistaken, some of the goals, at least when I was talking with Dan, with the jungle camps, which are now more spaced out, is that they're more evenly distributed so that you can not necessarily have the one route that rules all when you're in the jungle, right?
Yeah, specifically we want junglers to be able to like spend time fluidly between both sides with just like slightly more focus on their safe lane side.
Okay, that's what I thought. So if you guys remember previously, this is where the Amber Link was located. This is now a jungle camp. So that has been spaced out from the one that was featured, kind of where the jungle camp is. This is the same camp that you guys may remember. The Amber Link is in the middle. Now, the picture that we show kind of shows the Amber Link in the same position, but people don't actually realize that it's much closer. It's just based on the perspective that they had. And then here is a lot different. You guys see the green buff. The shield buff here is in the same, generally the same location, but this whole area is a lot different. We actually removed that jump pad, number of issues that you guys kind of talked through. Rotations being a little bit too fast. There was also some issues that we just could not get around in terms of bugs. But it kind of plays more into that idea of commitment. We talk a lot about commitment with that, but that is certainly something that we changed up. And this ledge here is the same in that you can see down, but it does look visually different. So going into mid lane, grass looks lovely. Again, design is a little bit more changed, a little changed up. Now I wanted to go over to the Raptor Pit. Now you might be able to talk a little bit about this specifically. I know there were several iterations of the Raptor Pit before we landed on this one, but one of the things that Pat had talked about was having kind of like an equal distance between the prime orb spacing and then the jungle camp spacing, which was a little off.
Right. So like specifically, if mid laners were rotating to get the mid buffs, one side had an advantage in that they could drop down to the prime pit, whereas the other one would get stuck if they didn't have
to go around.
So that was one of the things they were trying to fix. And then in general, just sort of opening it up and making it more of like a staging area that you can fight around, like a mid-game objective.
Yeah.
That was sort of it didn't quite meet those goals, and so that's what the changes were.
Okay. So you guys can see spacing here is a lot different. And we're gonna head over into the dusk side of things. I'm gonna try not to die. Last time I went in here, Rampage attacked me, and I'm still level 1. So just want to show you guys visually, dusk kind of looks like. See the spire?
Yes.
Up there. Don't die! Don't die!
Nice.
I think there are also some adjustments in that inhibitor area, so that it's a little bit easier to like aim ground targeted skill shots like Gideon Meter or Sebrog route. They lowered it just a little bit so that the camera angles could catch that a little bit better.
So this is going to be hitting in 39. So wanted to show you guys these changes. One other change that I want to mention now is the river buffs will actually cycle through every 2 minutes. So if you left this river buff here, no one touched it previously, it would always stay on this red buff. Now what's going to happen is every 2 minutes, if no one touches it, it's actually going to update to a different buff. So it should add a little bit more dynamic play here, but that should be, when you guys were reading the release notes, that is actually what that means. All right, there are the Raptors. If we get Shinbi here, they have like a little stage
yeah.
Woo! All right, so let's go ahead and exit this. And when we exit, they're going to see the hotness.
Yep, it's going to happen.
Now, when you have a blog post talking about this on Thursday.
It's coming out Thursday. So once we'll see.
Okay.
Oh my! What's happening? This is a lot of information at once, ladies and gentlemen. This is coming at you fast. So of course we'll have a blog post to go into depth about it, to talk about all of the new things you might be seeing on the screen. Most notably, you have a daily quest and a star chest. You might be curious. What are stars? What is all of the stuff I'm kind of looking at? And this is more, treat this more of a teaser. You guys will get a lot more information on blog post coming out, but this is gonna be I'll have a lot of new opportunities for ways to come into game, earn rewards, and kind of just coming in line with. You might have noticed a throw off I threw in the last daily login blog when we had the blog about the daily login bonus. Yep. So we had to throw it about future stuff coming to allow you guys to come in and have milestones on a daily basis to reach and kind of work towards. So this is a step in that direction. So be on the lookout for that blog post. And yeah, should be cool. This is a big.
It's gonna be hot.
Yeah,
big changes. 39-1. And then real quick before we head through the rest of these, now let's go to heroes. Let's go to Morigesh. Just wanted to run through a couple of these skins. We got the Challenger skin, looking fancy.
Nice.
There it is. You unlock that at level 8. You have her mastery unlocked. Because there it is. He just pulls it out right there.
That's her
sword.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's creepy.
A little dagger. That's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty creepy.
I'm terrified. Oh yes, I was popping off about this skin earlier. Like he showed this for the first time when we were just running through. Cannot handle it. I cannot actually handle it.
All right, so that is 39. A little bit of 39, 39-1. So just kind of running through these from a a perspective. Clint, I'm done with this. From the perspective of what exactly is coming in 39, we have. Again, the visual changes, the jungle layout, that's what we just walked through. We're opening up some of the spacing there, new jungle camp locations, the same number of jungle camps. Foliage is enabled on those high settings. There's actually a little button. Mooney and I had to find
we
it.
found the
It says
dense grass
in there. So click that. You'll be able to see the foliage. Collision improvements across the board, less sticky corners, ledges, and exploitable ward and ability locations have been tweaked. So if you find some of those exploits, people placing wards up where people can't reach them and things like that, please let us know. Raptor Pit has a new layout, and then we removed the jungle jump pads. Now, there's also some additional changes with the Raptor camps and the Ore Prime changes. They'll have kind of this level up progression that you guys will notice as you're playing. And I mentioned the river buff updates. Prime cards have also been reworked. That's a pretty big change. You guys can read them in depth on the release notes, but some of the highlights here: restore 3% of your max health and 3% of your max mana every second if no damage is taken in the last 6 seconds. The idea behind this, and mistake me if I'm wrong here, is that when you take the Prime Orb, typically you have to back and kind of waste some time, about 30 seconds or so, getting just back to the place of where you were. So by destroying the buff, taking it, you can 6 seconds, start regenerating your health, and then you can make a push. So I believe that is the idea behind some of the thought process behind that.
And I think it was sort of to make it a little bit less volatile. Like Prime before was just raw combat stats, like you're about to just like blow stuff up.
Yep.
And so like you got it, and like games could just end in like that. It wasn't like super interesting gameplay. So giving players regen and making it so like you're stronger, but you still have to like work for it a little bit. Just makes it a little bit more interesting, but also consistent because you don't have to back and like spend that much time.
Right. So cool. You guys will also notice some of the adjustments to I think the power, health, and mana. I can't remember all of the changes off the top of my head, but they are listed there. Nearby minions will have their max health doubled if you're pushing a lane, and then the ability and basic attacks deal 20% more damage for Hero specifically. There's an update to Stinger Boost. There's an update to Divine Shields, which now block Prime Guardian's abilities. And then Ash of the Witch, popular in discussion right now. The slow can only be applied every 2 seconds now. So that's a pretty big change for those of you with the Ash of the Witch in those builds. Those gadgets out there, those Twin Blasts. I know you.
I see you.
I see you out there. One other thing that we want to mention with 39. Now, if you are a founder, this is one of the OG founders that purchased the packs that had Hot Rod Howitzer in it. If you guys remember Hot Rod Howitzer, there's 2 packs that you could get at that time. All founders that purchased those 2 packs that are still with us will receive Hot Rod Howitzer variants for free. So when you log in with 39 tomorrow, you're going to get these 2 pop-ups. They're going to show these variants, and then the other guys, you'll be able to get those variants via loot crates, if I'm not mistaken. So that is a big update that we wanted to let you guys know. Again, the rest of the release notes are on the blog. You guys can check it out. For 39.1, we mentioned the home screen UI update, daily quests, star chests. Mooney will have a blog out on Thursday for you guys. There's also a post-match update for the UI as well.
That is hot.
So looking forward to seeing some of the feedback that we receive on UI. And then 39.2, I actually saw a post about this on
Recently?
Reddit today.
Nice.
Yes,
today. Nice.
It's on Reddit.
I saw that.
It's good.
So there was a tier 2 gadget skin that we allowed the community to vote on which one we would work on next. The community voted on Bombshell, Gadget Bombshell, I believe is the name of it, which is a tier 2 skin, and it will be available in 39.2 for purchase. That is the skin that the community voted on for us to work on for Gadget. That will be available in 39.2, barring, that's what we're targeting, barring any bugs or anything that come up. And then 39.3, we have the new hero release, and we'll be welcoming Revenant to the battlefields of Agor. So, now that that's out the way, we're here to talk about Morigesh.
Yeah.
Very excited for Morigesh.
Me too.
Now, before we start talking about her in depth, we want to unveil, show off this more fresh, Morigesh trailer. I'm ready, if you're ready, Clint. There it is.
That's legit.
Yes.
Yeah. No. Yes.
So excited to see that one. I had the opportunity, and I've been doing this more and more with each of the Hero releases that we do, but I got to see some of the lighting and things that they were doing. I went over to Capture and watched them do the lighting and the facing on the Morigesh's face while they were making the trailer. So they're in sequencer, they're doing a lot of stuff, and it was my first time actually like visibly looking at her face up close. Oh my God, the detail.
Yeah.
The detail is just incredible. And so shout out to the art team, just incredible stuff. So Morigesh has a very interesting kit. Andrew, what was the design goals that you were trying to hit with Morigesh? I know there's an interesting story that you kind of had when we were talking last week about this kit's creation in tandem with another hero's creation.
That's right.
So if you want to kind of talk through your
Sure,
kind of
the
process.
original inspiration. Sure.
Yes.
She came about the same night as Chimera, actually. I was sitting around with my wife thinking of heroes to create, and this was another of her suggestions. I'm from New Orleans originally, and I grew up around the bayous around there.
Yeah.
And she suggested tapping into that, and so I figured, yeah, that'd be cool. So I kind of thought about this sort of dark earth magic kind of character that would basically kind of fulfill that archetype of the sorceress kind of guy, girl who has an effigy of her target and has the ability to damage it wherever they may be. And so that was the original inspiration, and the rest of the kit grew from that idea.
Okay. So there's a couple of her abilities. Mooney, have you been able to play her in playtest?
I have not. I've had to deal with her. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I've had the delight of playing against her.
Yes.
Put it that way.
So she's meeting her goals.
Yeah.
One of her design goals is definitely to just be a nuisance to people, to really fulfill that her theme of being just a character that you don't want to spend much time around.
So I played her twice in some of the design playtests. Once kind of earlier in her kit, like when she was first playable, and then again right around the time that everything kind of came together. And like Mooney said, playing against her, you kind of realize, man, how do I want to approach this, right? Because there's times where, let's say she's doing a mid-game rotation, she grabs Shadow buff, and then she comes up on you, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I'm hurting. Wait, I'm backed away. I'm still hurting.
Yeah.
Oh God, her ult. I'm dead. Right. So there's some times where I feel like you guys really wanted her to be someone that if you don't deal with, they're gonna cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, that was always one of the goals, was that she almost deals damage in sort of a deceptive way, where if you spend too much time around her, it might be too late for you. There's just no time to get away. And so, there are counters built into her kit, but she is primarily designed as a nuker. That's what her primary mark ability is. If you've seen the overview video, this is the ability where she just selects the target and grabs it and marks them as the target for her doll. It's essentially a freebie. You don't have to aim it to select a target. So because of that, she has to really work for it. It's got a shorter range than most other abilities. So she's got to put herself in danger. And so a lot of the rest of the kit is kind of built around giving her the tools to be able to get within range, grab that target, and still be able to win the trade.
Okay. I mean that's one of the things I remember noting, or like that had been noted to me when we were like talking about some of the ways we wanted to, like, we were talking about hers, that she, while despite like having the dagger like that she throws, you can see in the video, a lot of her abilities are kind of in that closer engagement range where she's having to like work around like a team fight and just kind of like be in that range where she could potentially be engaged, but she has like the tools to like go in and out and deal with that.
She's a great early game lane bully.
Oh yeah.
Her job is to win her lane early. A great combo is that you use her swarm ability to run through your enemy minions towards to close the distance to get to your lane opponent, and then you mark them, and then you immediately smash a hive on their face, and they might put a Howie rocket in your face or drop a Gideon meteor on your head. But you've got those regen stacks. Yeah. And you just walk right back out and just regen it back.
It's really cool.
And that's what allows her to win those trades and win her lane early.
It's interesting when you're learning to play against her, because I think at the point in time when I had played her, at least the second time, I had a mirror matchup. And so when they ran through her, they did that exact same thing. I was like, oh, well, I didn't actually know how to react to it. So it's like, oh, he just ran through, he just ran at me. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh man, I have no health. So it's like, you have to kind of react kind of quickly to what she does, at least in those first few levels, because if she hits 5, it's like, oh man, you got to be really careful.
As her opponent, you want to keep your distance for sure. If you're howitzer, you save your what do we call it now?
Your debt mine, your debt charge.
The debt charge.
The
to
yeah. So thinking about Hive, which is, you know, kind of like this, I want to call it like a mortar grenade almost. That's one of the abilities that I had a lot of fun with, because at first I just threw it normal and I was like, oh, okay, it has this arc. And then I was like, oh, wait, if I actually aim really high, it can like, it's some really cool trajectory.
Yeah, the inspiration was Rampage's rock. I mean, it's so fun to throw,
okay.
You know? So her kit, because she has that lock-on ability, and her ultimate is just you press the button and it damages the target that's already marked. She needed some skill shots in there. She needed some fun, and so we gave her this physics-based lobby projectile. It's just as fun to throw as a Rampage rock.
It is. It really is.
Much shorter distance. You can't hit somebody across the map. But
it's marginally more terrifying. She's just manifesting a hive of insects and throwing it at your face. That's not terrifying at all. Like, that's not. I'm not scared.
Yes.
Okay. And then for her ult, did that go through any iterations before you guys landed on where it's at?
We did, sure. There were a couple different ways it worked. Like, at one point the marked target would persist past death. Like, you know, you could mark somebody in the first minute of the game, and then if you wanted to harass them if you never switched your mark, you know, even at minute 40, you could still get them. But we switched that up. So now
that strategically marked Murdoch.
That mark doesn't persist past death anymore. Which is good. Either your death or your target's death. And at one point, we also, when she summons her spectral form that does the damage, it once upon a time it spawned an incredibly large, enormous Morigesh
I heard about
that could be seen across the entire map.
Yeah,
it was almost like a Colossus from some mythical movie. You know?
I remember hearing about that.
Which was a great concept, but in reality, it didn't work out all that well, because in order for the target to see it, you know, rather than just seeing a dagger point in your head, to actually see this great thing, we would have to lock you down, steal your camera, point it up, and that's just too much. This ability.
Yeah. So what I will say is, the first time that it happened to me, it was scary as hell.
Scary.
Yeah.
It was super scary. Like, I didn't know what it was, and I want to preface this by saying that at the time that I played it, it was like proto art, and so it was just like this huge thing that just went boom, and I was like, what was that?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think people are going to be, and the same way that like Countess's ult, kind of the first time that it happens to you, you're like, whoa. It will catch you off guard.
Yeah.
Especially if you're running through the jungle like we're seeing right now, and this bug creature comes up from the ground and stabs you in the face. It's scary.
She's so quick at like popping out from a corner and then like marking you and then popping back, and the mark has like this really like solid pop sound effect. Like, I still jump from it, which is terrible.
So talking about gameplay, Ben, how have you guys in comp really, well, I would say for you personally, how have you built her and how have you used her in team comps when you guys are approaching her in game?
So she's kind of like a jack of all trades, master of some mage. Like, she doesn't have this like one like shining strength that you pick her like in a specific team comp, but she's like very like well-rounded. So if all you need is like a mage who can like be solid early and mid game, like she's a really good pickup. Her early game harass, like she'll win her lane if it's just a 1v1. As long as you like respect the enemy jungler, she'll be pretty solid at like, you know, beating whoever she's playing against. Her skirmishing like mid game, you know, she throws her poison and it like marks people for 12 seconds and slows them. So like your teammates have 12 seconds of slow on a target that they can work with, and like that person's just gonna die. So like those are her early and mid game are definitely her strengths. And late game she can transition into more of like a peel type character where like if there's like 2 or 3 melees on your carry, you slow all 3 of them for 12 seconds, and then your carry's just totally safe for the rest of the fight. Yeah.
Okay. When you guys were playing her, what was your memorable moment? I like asking this question because I know everyone kind of has one or two.
Like, did Sean forget he was marked and you stabbed him and he screamed? Like, did that happen? Or?
So I was talking about this earlier, actually. Since we're all in like the same room and like sometimes we can hear each other, especially when we get loud and like hyped. I'd marked someone and I threw my poison and I ulted them and they lived with just like a sliver. I was like, oh man, they're not gonna die. And then I could hear them saying, oh god, I'm gonna die. Oh no, oh no. And then like 5 seconds later, I get the kill because like they bled out. And that was just really funny to hear that happening like inside the room with them. It was a lot of fun.
Question about, and this is kind of getting a little granular, but for the purpose of clarifying this, when she gets marked and she has that dot on you, does it also apply blight? No.
No.
Okay, so that is for folks that, because
yeah.
you'll see a similar effect.
It is not technically poison.
Right.
This is her own
Custom brew.
Right. So it does not apply blight. I just want to be very clear about that. And I know there was a couple questions that I saw from folks that were kind of asking around on the forums, and I wanted to make sure that we said it on stream. So from a build perspective, when you go into game, what types of items do you feel like you like to take in with Morigesh?
So as far as just like pure stats go, I sort of prioritize power over health as like my first two. Power just because she's a mage, she wants to nuke people. It's fun to just murder people. But then the health is pretty key because her ranges are a lot shorter.
Right.
So she sort of plays like a bruisery type mage. And as far as like the more like effect type items, Stinger Boost and Ash of the Witch are very good on her. Stinger Boost is just a very solid like burst item, and her cooldowns are pretty low, so she can keep rotating through that effect. And then Ash of the Witch is just great because it helps her keep that spacing that she wants to keep.
Okay.
She can keep her targets there or like keep them away from her whenever her cooldowns are down, and then come back in. Yeah, those are pretty good.
And how do you find yourself using the regen? I mean, Andrew brought up a great point about how I was abused with it while I was playing a game because I wasn't quite ready for it. But when you think about her regen, how do you kind of find yourself using it in combat?
So I mean, it's a pretty dynamic ability. Like sometimes, like you have to make the decision of like, do I want to use this for the move speed right now and like get in and like get that extra hit off, or do I need to save it for the regen afterwards, like have a more consistently one trade? It depends. Like if I'm playing against a Gideon, I'll use the move speed more just to avoid the damage because the damage I avoid from his meteor is more than the regen I would have gotten.
Right.
But against like a gadget who can sort of land the Q on or her bomb on you a little bit easier, then I'll rely more on the regen to survive through that and win.
Okay. And then her affinities. Did we talk about the affinities? It might be in the overview.
Yeah.
But we are growth and corruption.
Yeah.
Andrew, how'd you kind of land on those?
Well, the theming-wise, I wanted her to use dark magic for sure.
Okay.
And she's so much of that nature mage, and so growth. Again, these are thematically the affinities that match those two things.
Okay.
And the corruption, especially, is all about basically just personal supremacy, the quest for power for yourself. She doesn't help her allies, right? She just is out to murder the enemy.
Okay. When you got any more questions you want to ask?
One thing I mean I would kind of be curious about is that if you've ever kind of used the have you gotten any like slippery escapes using like Swarm, like gotten out of like a tight team? Because I imagine like you're saying you kind of play that bruisery mage, you're kind of playing in and out. Like do you ever have you ever gotten one of those cool escapes?
So it's interesting because like the removing of the player collision when she uses her E like is something that a lot of players don't expect because it's a very new ability. So characters like Severog will come at you with their ult, and they don't expect you to just like run straight through them. So like they'll start to activate it right when you pass through them, and they'll just completely whiff you. I think in her reveal video there's like a crunch, and so she can pop that and just run straight at the crunch when he R&Bs towards her, and like it throws people off when like all of a sudden you're just gone, and they're like, where did he just go? And, like you just walked through their camera, like they didn't expect that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So that's all we got with the design gameplay. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Ben, for coming on. Next up, we're going to get
animation and rigging.
Animation and rigging. Chris and Ray will be up. So short break, and then we'll be right back.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we are back with Chris and Ray to talk through animation and rigging. This will be pretty interesting because, Ray, I think you're going to talk through the mocap,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And
That's something that Jay actually had hinted to in an earlier stream, is that we were talking about like how some of the mocap had gotten really interesting, and this is one of those ones that
For sure.
and then Chris is going to talk through a lot of the rigging, and we have some gifts
some gifts for any,
just to clear it up.
just to anybody if you had any
On what side of the camp I'm on
Yeah.
with GIF and GIF. Gifts. Okay? We clear?
there's
Internet?
there's peanut butter, and then there's gifts.
Right. Gifts. All right. So, Chris, talking through some of this, I think we have an image to show
The concept art.
first, the concept art. For her rig, there's a lot going on. And I think it's important to kind of talk through some of the, hurdles and challenges that you guys had with creating what was this from concept to getting it in game, which we've seen throughout the gameplay.
When I first saw this, well, first off, in our room, we're always like trying to call dibs on a character. So I was like dibs. And there's just so much secondary motion in the concept. It just looks really, really great. There was a lot of layered cloth. Dreads I'll talk about that later, but they're especially difficult. There was all this bone jewelry that I saw, and also I'm a huge fan of organics mixed with rigid objects, because it's pretty hard to get something. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it's very hard to get something that is organic and rigid looking the way that most of us want it to look.
Okay.
On the rigging side.
Okay. And then let's hop through that very first image that we have.
So this was just when working on the first pass of the rig, I sometimes try to target the concept with a pose.
Okay.
Just to show off. So this was Mike Kime's model, and I was just like, oh man, this is so awesome. Sometimes we don't have time to do this, but we just wanted to get everybody on the team super excited about the character. And again, this was just me targeting the concept. When these guys go to mocap, I mean, they work with design and figure out like, how do we want this character to move and stuff. And as you see, I mean, she doesn't really move like upright, kind of like this in the end. It was just targeting what is the concept.
It's cool to see the kind of progression though, because like you get it to this stage where you finally get to, it's like you have it modeled and you're like, all right, now I need to visualize like what this hero looks like. I'm sure it's helpful in the process to kind of get that perspective.
And one of the most difficult things for me is, if we design a character where most of the time her stance is like very, her legs do not stay this close together. Let's put it that way. And there's so much physics involved in in that whole area that it was somewhat difficult, because her loincloth goes over her skirt.
Okay.
So we tried 3 different ways of getting the physics working on
layering the
on
fabric.
that area.
I'm sure that's got to be interesting.
So we have a GIF to show, very first one.
This is what I was talking about with that
screen.
that bone corset. So here, Kime did a really awesome job. We talked. I've worked on some like armor types that are kind of Lorica armor before. So we had this idea that when she moves forward, we want to see the leather straps themselves, or the straps between the rigid pieces. So with his support on the modeling side, I kind of rigged it so that all of the rigid pieces move, but then so does the support structure of the corset that like runs up the corset. And one thing, I think the next image, you'll see that these aren't just bones, but they're actually. So when I first saw the character, I was like, oh man, awesome! As she's running around, she'll have all this secondary motion. And then I'm like, wait a minute, are those actually grabbing her skin?
Yeah.
So they're actually not hanging, they're actually grabbing her flesh, which as a rigger makes it much more difficult, because basically wherever that skin tracks, you need to make sure that the rigid item is always with almost very little leeway pixel wise exactly hitting that part of the skin. Because the skin can move and stretch,
right.
but that as soon as that bone finger is not touching that davit where it's pushing into the skin, you'll see like a little empty push spot,
So
So if you go, I have a video where I kind of show that.
There's
So first off, the next one, yeah, that's just showing a better shot of these. So you can see the normal map.
Yeah.
So imagine if, as soon as the talent is not lined up exactly
right. Yeah.
with the organics, you'll just see this weird push in on her mesh. And if you go to the next, I wanted to say, Kime did such an awesome job. So one thing that's hard to see in the game is that like her outfit is like skulls. So here on the side boob, there's a tunnel. There's like a tunnel spider web in the eye of the skull. And so this is another example of, you know, she does a lot of arm motion. When the arm moves
in the eye of the skull right there, he put a tunneled spider web.
Like a funnel spider web.
What?
So when
Mike,
so
why
when
did you do this?
so when the arms move up like this, because she does a lot of motions like this, you get this thing where when the arm pulls up, the clavicle kind of pulls the pec muscle or the breast to the side a bit. But this is a rigid skull with these rigid bones. So it was interesting to try to balance how these. It's a lot like working on like a robotic character that is organic, like Richter or something, because the skull can't. When you're looking at a skull, it's a recognizable thing, and she has blue skin, so you see the thing as a rigid piece. If it skews in your rigging, as soon as it skews like taffy, you notice it immediately, because in any of these pieces, as soon as they skew, your eyes pick it up because she has blue skin. So
Right.
you see your eyes are much more attuned to contrast than they are color. So the same thing with some of the dreadlocks. Dreadlocks are kind of a nightmare. So here, in terms of rigging, dreadlocks are a nightmare. And in games, it's a much more challenging thing because I've done dreadlocks in film. It was actually a film with blue people. So, but I had 2 joints here. So there's 2 joints on the top, 2 joints on the bottom, and then you can see in rigging, these need to move like hot dogs, basically. So when you normally rig between joints, it's very mushy, but any of these dreadlocks, because like the ones against her back or on her shoulders,
Yeah.
if it skews and the width changes, it's a black object on blue skin. You see that the width changes and you catch it as like something gamey and weird. So when skinning dreadlocks like this, basically you'll put the joints in that you want physicalized, and then you have to kind of stretch all of them out and make sure that as you pull it out, it pulls the tubes and they maintain their width as tubes, because as soon as they collapse or shrink due to skinning, you notice it like from a mile away.
Holy smokes.
And
like
Kime
the
did an
little
awesome
things
job.
that make
So
them look
all
normal.
of those cards that you saw embedded in the, you saw some flat cards in the hair.
Yeah.
Those are all spider webs. So that makes another interesting thing. It's a spider web that spans 2 or 3 different dreads. Well, the vertices of the spider web, when the dreads move, they need to stay tacked onto the dread, because the
Holy
spider
smokes.
web spans. You can't have that a dread moves and the card and the spider web doesn't move.
Yeah.
And she has spider webs all over.
Mike
It-
gave you guys the ultimate.
it was
challenge.
interesting.
That's awesome.
That's
Um,
so cool.
I think we're on the videos now.
A couple of
so we'll switch
videos,
back
yeah.
to those.
So one thing that people thought it was like leaked. One thing we showed that we really used her to push some of the technology that we have in Unreal Engine 4. And one thing was like a pose driver. And what this allows is that no matter how the arm moves, whatever poses we define, her snake dreadlocks on her shoulder or her bone corset, we can define, we can say, you know, when Ray raises the arm to here, artistically, I want it to look exactly like this. You know, and in rigging, I always say we're making puppets for these guys. You know, I get to go in and make a cool toy that when he puts it in this position, it looks exactly like this. And it's kind of a weird thing where I straddle between Mike, Kime, and Ray, in that Kime has made this awesome model, and Ray's going to make an awesome pose, and I just almost have to make sure that the awesome model looks awesome in the awesome pose. But here you can see, as these shoulder things, you know, she reaches her shoulder way forward. It's not enough for the bone finger to move out. It has to exactly stay put on that place where it's grabbing on her flesh. But those are 2 totally different topologies. So yeah, we showed her a bit early this time, but we wanted to get people excited about some of the features that we're doing.
And then what's the next video?
This is just some B-roll of the pose driver. It basically allows you to drive any parameter in UE4. based upon a single joint's translation or orientation or multiple joints translation orientation. So the previous video, it was, I think, clavicle, upper arm, lower arm defining. But
Okay.
that's about it. The other, this is just showing the pose driver itself going between different poses. And not only can we go between different poses, but let's say you have a standard RBF driver, and now I'm going to get really nitpicky rigging. If you have a Gaussian fall-off or some fall-off you don't like, the fall-off is actually mapped to a user-definable curve that you can draw in the engine. So this is like, we basically went to James Golding, and he said, like, well, what's interesting about pose drivers? And we said, well, if we could have like everything that we ever wanted, here's what we want. And then like a week later, he's like, hey, we'll try it. We're like, what?
Give me your wish list.
This, I mean, I'm super proud that we're able to do this, because the way that RBF drivers work is you have a bunch of samples, and it blends between the samples, but as an artist, your control over the blending between samples is what mathematical algorithm is doing the blurring, the blending. So if you notice, like the snake head moving, when she moves her arm, it'll robotically interpolate. But let's say that I want it to fake the physics of the snake head coming down her arm when she raises it. I don't want it to like move the whole time. I want it to kick in late. So with that curve, I can say only when her arm gets this high, then it starts moving. And it allows you to artistically go in and define exactly how tiny things are going to be moving. And it doesn't just have to drive like the snake heads or the bone fingers on here. It can drive a material parameter. It could drive a wrinkle. It could drive anything in the engine. So it's super, super powerful.
That's awesome.
That stuff we can just talk about later.
Okay.
After Ray's talked about stuff. That's just nitpicky pipeline stuff.
Okay, so Ray, we got some very in-depth discussion on how the rigging for this came together, and Chris talked about how he had to work between you and Mike. What was that process like for the animation side for getting this all together? And by the way, the movement for Morigesh just in game is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
It is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. I'm really glad that Chris went first, because I think it gives people a taste of the pressure that we kind of put on ourselves. Like, you see how much work that like Mike Kine, Mark Beam, the concept artist, all these people that come before us in the pipeline put so much love and heart, and I mean, they go all out. I mean, all the stuff Chris was talking about, it's like, dude, I would have never thought to do that stuff, right?
In a million years. In a skull's eye.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
There's a spider in the
that
skull's
even?
eye. So these people, this is like their craft, and they love this. So when it comes like our turn in the pipeline, you sort of say, man, I've got to freaking bring it this time, right? I've really got to do a great job on this just to live up to all the stuff that's come before me. Plus, I know the effects team is going to go ham as soon as I'm done. Like, you know what I mean? So that I can't be the weak link in this chain. And that being said, like, we really tried on Morigesh to bring it. So that started early on. Jay Hosfeld, the animation lead in the team, did auditions for Morigesh, and we found out just a phenomenal mocap actress named Shalanda Smith, who came down. I think she was in Richmond, Virginia or something.
Okay.
She came down and just did just an awesome job. And also, like, within the studio, we all went and had lunch with Andrew Baines, the designer, and a few of the guys, just to talk about, like, what are you guys thinking, like, where are your heads at for this, so that when we got to the mocap stage, we knew exactly what we needed to do. In the video here that's playing is Shalanda's at mocap. You can see Jay is sitting there on the floor. He's like giving notes. Earlier it'll loop back around, but earlier Michael Shin is down there on his phone. We're like counting down the seconds in a recall. And she is like doing the recall and like hitting the timing perfectly. And to get some idea of what a mocap shoot is like we'll have her do one take, and then we'll say, okay, faster the next time, and then we'll be like, oh, that was too fast. Okay, now a little bit slower this time. So there's like 4 or 5 people in here giving this lady like all this feedback, trying to like dial it in just perfectly. And she's just like, okay, again and again for like 8 hours, right? And then it's like, okay, we'll see you tomorrow. So yeah, I mean, I can't say like enough about what a phenomenal job she did. There would be just no way that Morigesh would look anything like what she does if one of us dummies tried to get in the mocap suit or something like that. Like, she was just such a pro. And we even surprised her with those finger shoes. I don't know what you call those things, but you know, like your toes are in
Yeah,
the
Vibram
and she
front,
never
yeah.
wore those things before, and we're like, okay, we want you to run around like you're barefoot, so try these things on. So now sprint as fast
Simulate,
as you can
yeah.
and stop on a dime and spin the other direction. And so, but yeah, she was such a sport and just a great person to work with. So yeah, so that was the mocap process, and we all left that. Sometimes you leave a mocap shoot and you're like, man, we've got our work cut out for us after this. Like, that didn't go so hot. Like, we really got to like pick it up. But we left hers like, man, all we got to do is not mess this up. Like, she was perfect.
That's
just
good.
don't mess this up.
That's good.
So yeah, so we took that into animation. Michael Shin helped on the animation. We split this hero kind of basically in half. And then the hero review stuff began, and immediately the complexity of her abilities kind of started.
Yes, this is my favorite part.
And one of the trickiest things was, for every hero in the game, we have to be able to, when she sort of grabs their soul, put that hero on the doll, and instantly, like, I remember when the first hero review, when that was discussed, it was like, nah, that's too crazy.
He's joking, but yeah, designer's like, yeah, and then it's gonna become the hero. And I was there, I was like, no, it's not.
Yeah, I remember Laurent was just like, oh no, we can't do this. No. But yeah, we just hung in there and kept trying it. And you can see all different sized heroes. We put a handle on the back, just we wouldn't have to have her hand open and closed depending on the size of the hero. So we had a consistent thing for her to grab, like a consistent attachment. And something that, so we, you know, she's running around and grabbing it, and then she does her ult, and you can see this crazy, like the crazy effects that Tim.
Yeah, Tim killed it on this one.
So Yanni, Tim, and Scott Kennedy all worked on the effects on her and really just did a phenomenal job. Holy moly! Like, sometimes it's like too creepy. When I saw the bugs go in, I was like, pump the brakes on the beetles and centipedes.
And folks watching right now, you guys just don't know how creepy it is. The first time you get to see this thing, you play in game, and that ult comes down on you. It is, I'm telling you guys, it is so creepy because you will like see this thing, you're just like, especially if you're in the zone. A lot of people get in that zone.
You're in the zone sometimes.
You're in that zone, right? When you're in that zone and something like this messes with that zone, I'm telling you, you'll freak out.
Yeah,
just awesome job.
So yeah, if you want to go ahead and go to the next video. So something that people, you don't really think about, but just to go through the process. So that's
is that Dwayne?
That's Dwayne Martin.
That's Dwayne.
He's kind of like the animation team stunt man. So what people don't realize is, to make this work, we had to have a pose of somebody tied up for every hero in the game, and Dwayne just jumped on it and made a pose for every single hero in the game. And then he looked through all the, you know, he tested in the game and said, oh, this pose doesn't work, this pose doesn't work, and fixed all that stuff. And Dwayne does so much stuff like that. Holy moly! Like, when you run around, you hear footsteps everywhere. Dwayne is the dude that notifies on every single anim that says a foot just landed here. Like,
shout out to Dwayne. Man.
Yeah, dude,
shout out
sure.
to Dwayne.
That dude is MVP. Yeah, so he did a great job. But yeah, I just really want to emphasize, like, what a team effort like a hero like this is. Like, there's so many people. And just like Chris demonstrated, like, really just giving everything every day to make something come together like this.
And this hero is an ongoing commitment, because every new hero that comes out has to have a bound pose like this.
It's the Dwayne Martin job security. We can never fire Dwayne because we got to have him to make these poses.
I remember the discussions. I was pushing. I was like, maybe we sample vertex colors and just color the doll with the color. They're like, no, we'd really like to have a doll of the hero.
It's so cool seeing that little Grim, like that's
so
my favorite.
Cool.
The Grim and the Iggy, like those little
and the
things.
big ones like chains like this one, they're big on her, you know. And you see, like, I love it. I'm really glad we stuck with it and did this.
That is so.
But yeah, it was a great hero to work with, work on. I hope people really enjoy playing her.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, did you want to run through these last two, or did?
I was just gonna say something we rarely ever talk about. Because I worked on her for GDC, that meant that in our pipeline internally, she had to look presentable very early.
Yes.
So I think we at the time, she was only supposed to be kind of like a I don't know if we want to name that part of the process, but just a not polished character. But I had to polish her up. But then I noticed on the schedule I still had polish time for her. So, you know, every 3 weeks we are trying to be able to make characters very quickly. But we also want the environment where someone like Mike Kime, the modeler, where he can make updates to the mesh, or Rob can make updates to the mesh based upon feedback that comes out of meetings. But when you're working this fast, and they update the mesh. It takes a long time for us to update the puppet because of all the skin weights, basically, which is kind of like muscles and bones and things like that. So one thing, on one of the days I was supposed to be polishing her, I wrote this tool, and what it does is it goes into the modeler's folder. It loads up all of the meshes that they've done. It highlights the changes in red so we can catch stuff. And then if you go to the next one, it goes down and it uses a fast weight transfer tool that Aaron Carlisle wrote, and it blasts through and colors green every mesh that has procedurally come through from Kevin Landing's team, so Mike Kimes meshes. And the heroes, I group meshes together. Charles Anderson, Charles, one of the other riggers, he likes keeping the meshes apart. So you'll have a character that's 200 meshes across 4 LODs. So you've got like 800 individual meshes that have individual skin clusters. Right. And the process of updating meshes. So I mean, this isn't like super science. I mean, there are pipelines like this, but it's just we here sometimes don't get time to work on pipeline stuff. So it was really great with her. This will be the gift from her that keeps on giving. I'll tell you that.
Already the thing we did for a hero that
this morning I came into work today actually, and Charles was like, "Oh, I got to get you a beer, man. This is I just use this thing. It just saved my butt." So it just makes us be able to work. It allows the modelers to be able to update the mesh more often, because this process here, because it's not only bringing in all the meshes, copying weights across. If the vertex number count changes, it uses a different copy method, and also it reconnects all the materials. So it's something that used to take us like half an hour or so. It's not rocket science, but it's just a nice thing to have now, so we can work faster.
It's crazy to think about how much new tech we are building on a consistent basis with each new hero.
Yeah, it's like a thing.
With the game, just talking about Unreal, and from an engine level standpoint, from a game level perspective,
optimizing it for later in the process.
Yeah, it's awesome the stuff that you guys do.
Yeah,
so
and in the future we have a big roadmap of more stuff we want to do in our pipeline when we publish a model from modeling, and it goes to rigging and iteration stuff. But I was just saying, like, we rarely get time to work on that stuff, so it was nice that because of GDC, because she had to look good sooner. Anyway.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys.
That's awesome. Awesome stuff.
Awesome.
We're gonna get up John and Damon next from the community. Talk to these guys for a little bit, and then we will answer some questions on chat. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
It was awesome.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we are back. We have 2 fine folks from the community. We have John and Damon. Yeah. Welcome, guys. Very, very glad to have you guys out. Yeah. So, as always with our community streams, I'm always curious to kind of hear folks' stories. For those that don't know, both of these guys super active on Reddit and forums. Damon actually drew if you're watching from Reddit, and you've seen, or the forums, and you've seen the Greystone comic, he created this comic, and so we're going to talk through that a little bit. But I have to ask you guys, I always ask everyone, how'd you guys get involved with Paragon? What kind of drew you to the game, and what keeps you coming back?
Go first. Well, I have the best friends ever, and they have the best taste in video games.
Okay.
So I have them to thank for this.
Okay.
Yeah, they showed me Paragon in the summer, so I had more time to kind of get into it. He showed me on the PlayStation version at his house. The next day I went home on my Lenovo, downloaded it, and then 2 days after when it finished downloading, I started playing it.
Okay. All right.
So I was actually interested back way when y'all had like the teaser, like the website up, and it's like, you had, like the 5 characters up.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
get this
Ooh,
character.
nice.
It's like I saw Grux and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I want to try this. And then so I was just waiting patiently, and they had the announcement video, and then I was like, yep, playing this game.
Yeah.
So I got after that, it was just game over. I've just been playing it since. So
Okay.
since the
That's
beginning.
awesome. That's awesome. So both you guys, you know, kind of started. I want to say I noticed you guys on the forums, right? What kind of draws you to? I think this is a good question. We probably need to ask more for community folks. What kind of draws you to interacting with people on that level, right? From a forum style, let's have a discussion about the game.
I find it when I'm on the forums, which is about every day, like you'll have people that are maybe upset about something and they post it there, and you get so many dynamic responses to that. Like you'll have half of it's like, oh, I agree with you, I agree with you. Then you have people that are on the other side. Then you start to see like these discussions that kind of pop up out of that. And it's like, oh, okay, now that everyone's understanding what's going on and they kind of agree, you know, okay, it's a good idea. So you see a lot of ideas bounce off like that.
Right.
So I'll try to post stuff, you know, that kind of raise discussions, things like that, you know, to see good conversation come out of it.
Yep.
You know, people learn from that, and then you take it and put it in the game. So
Okay.
it's really
Okay.
interactive, and it's a lot of fun.
All right. What about you, Damon?
Well, first of all, probably most importantly, it's you guys. You're great community leaders. You guys help us out a lot with, you know, furthering discussion, making us want to post on the forums. I felt like it was a really welcome environment, and being such a big fan of the game, I kind of wanted to test out my skills with the drawing, for instance. And me and my friends used to talk about the lore behind the game a lot.
Right.
And that really just made me interested in just trying to throw something out there. And, you know, at first my thing was like, man, if I get a moderator to like comment on it, like, this is cool. And I'm like, yeah.
You see that little epic sign next
Yeah,
to that.
and I'd be like, yeah, I won, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like the top goal, I was like, yeah, they put this story in the game. But yeah, my bottom goal was like just getting a moderator to like respond. And you guys responded, I mean, like, you know, maybe a couple posts in. So it was really cool. It just really makes you want to contribute.
Okay.
You know?
All right. One of the things that, you know, I've noticed, and I want to say one of you guys put a build out there. I can't remember when it was, but one of you guys put a build out or just how you played a specific hero. And actually, and I do this regularly, a lot of folks don't know this. So I will go out and I'll try out people's builds. And I tried out a Greystone build, I tried out a Narbash build, and I tried out a Bellica build recently. And then Sylphan had one that he posted on Seraph that I tried out. But where I'm going with that is, do you guys find yourself, when we release tools like the web deck builder, for example, do you guys find yourselves being able to use those in places like the forums or wherever to kind of pass information? And how do you guys see us kind of improving upon some of those things there?
I definitely use it because I actually just started playing Narbash, and my friend's really good at them, you know. And he's like, "Hey, try this build. You can save it and just send it to me." So I just downloaded it. It's like the only deck I use right now for him.
Okay.
So I definitely think it's a really good tool to use, and I think it's really good because in the forums, a lot of people just, you know, they just kind of list out, yeah,
exactly.
This big list, and it's like, oh wow, this is a little over encumbersome. But now I think the deck builder is a really good tool to use, just because I can get it from my friend, and I just downloaded it. Now it's in my game, and it's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Improving on it, I'm not sure it's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, but I really like it. It's a good.
Okay.
Good
Yeah, you know, it's a really good deck builder. I haven't really used it as much myself because I'm kind of a hardcore Chimera fan since I first started playing him. So, you know, I have my favorite builds with him. I have at least 3. And even if they're not top level, you know, it gives me a lot of enjoyment just to get on there and start messing some people's day up, you know.
Maybe you become a fan of Morigesh because you heard the story from Andrew about the Chimera Morigesh.
There you go.
Yes.
Kindred spirits.
Yeah.
Maybe that happens.
When you guys think about interacting with people on the forums, again, I'm asking a lot of forums questions because we're trying to bring the forums up quite a bit as a place we post content and think about things. You guys would probably want to talk to Skylar today because we're going to be working on some stuff for the forum specifically. But what types of things would you guys like to see improved there, just from either an interaction standpoint or even on Reddit, for example? What do you guys want to see us do there that we're not already?
So I know when I'm releasing forums anyway, there's a lot of discussion brought up, but then it kind of, I guess when I see a lot of like maybe people are upset about something or they're trying to bring it up, they just kind of get, it's either they're kind of bashed quickly or no one kind of listens to them. And it's, I guess, just the way that they're bringing up the, their discussion.
Their discussion.
So maybe something like, hey, and I know y'all lock a lot of stuff, which is good because it can get toxic pretty quick.
Yeah. Sometimes
but
it's out of hand.
maybe a way to like help them construct their idea and then present it. I don't know if that's something, like I have this idea, but I don't want to post it yet. Can you like read over it and how can I rephrase it to say what I want to say without, sounding too harsh?
So a template, so to speak.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Something like that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem doing that. So what I like to do on the forums, at least when I'm checking them out, and I'm there a lot, is I like people being as authentic as they can.
Right.
In a sense that like if you have a super, for example, I'm going to use my one shit word. All right, this is gonna be too. Sorry. So if someone says like, "Hey, this is shit," right? Yeah. I think the big thing that we have to do is figure out a language that works for everybody. Because what I think is like if you use language like that, it triggers that other side, right? Like on the community, and so you get this very binary type of discussion where one side is like this and one side is like this. And so I appreciate and I think everyone here really appreciates people trying to be authentically themselves. I think where we get in trouble is because some language triggers people. It becomes a very hostile discussion instead of being this very dynamic. Okay, I hear what you're saying.
Right.
This is what I have to offer for it. So I think you're right. I mean, a template. I think
well,
we kind of have one.
It is something like we have like so in general feedback a while back. I kind of put a post up there. Is like, hey, I love that you guys are having this discussion and this sort of stuff. I know that these things can tend to get heated, but keep in mind that we always want to be like as constructive and. With the evidence you present objective as possible and subjective where you need to be, and then kind of gave some examples of really good posts because you'd seen these posts where people really take the time. Like this guy made a color-coded breakdown.
Yes,
you remember that like old forum posts. He made a
crazy.
color-coded breakdown of different stats, and at the end made an argument for why he thought some stats should be changed, and that was like really inspirational to see.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that I definitely want to figure out how to do that. Again, talking with Skylar, we're talking about. Giving people more incentive to be constructive just in their dialogue in general. But yeah, that's for sure something to think about. Damon, you have anything in particular?
No, I think the forums are actually pretty good as far as everything, the layout and everything. I like his suggestions about templates. I think you guys are pretty engaging on the forums. Only thing that I really haven't seen, again, this forum, whatever tool that you guys use to build it is really great as well. Just with you have text editing options, which is really nice. I remember back a while ago, at least, they didn't have any profile plates avatars.
Oh yeah.
And I know there's obviously a pretty big reason why you don't want to have like too much freedom with avatars. But I know some game companies like to have a bunch of preset avatars that you can choose from.
Like you can just choose from.
You can just choose from and put one on there. That would be kind of interesting.
Okay.
I don't know if that would personalize
I think that's something that we're trying to work on. So hopefully some of you guys out there some exclusive stuff. So from a game perspective, you mentioned Chimera being your hero of choice as of right now. John, what about you?
Grux is my favorite. I played him way too much at the beginning, but so now I'm kind of taking a break from him, but still my favorite.
Okay. Yeah. All right. What as of the latest with 38.3, which changed a lot. What about some of the new systems that we introduced with the cards and the gameplay balance? Do you guys find yourself kind of gravitating toward?
See a lot of people use Ash the Witch. I think it really makes for more dynamic gameplay. And something I've been using more with Narbash specifically is a thermal bond, which I think is really fun, especially if you're going against like an Aurora or something like that. So like you can just, she pops off all her abilities, you can just walk into it and then walk out with a bunch of health.
Yeah.
So I think it makes more engaging fights, stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. I think the changes y'all made were really good. Really enjoy it.
We're working on more, guys. Lots more cards. No details right now because it's still further out. But we are definitely prepping for more of that dynamic type of gameplay and choice. as we get ready and further into the new overhaul, new system, card rework, we wanted to introduce more cards that are in that same general direction that we're going.
That's exciting.
Mooney, you got some questions you want to ask them?
Well, it's funny. I was going to bring up a funny story from last night because we went to dinner. I remember we were in, you spoke about the Greystone comic. Like Damon was telling us about like how he was like looking into like he'd like pull up the hero thing and like looking at the Greystone stuff to see if he could find any clues. And I was like, that's smart. That's a good move. Like he's going to be able to ask his questions. But like that's the kind of thing, the passion that you hear about people doing that really want you to keep going. You're like, you care, like people caring about that stuff. It ends up being a cycle because it's like the passion we put in is forwarded by the passion that you guys put in as well. So it's like it ends up being a big cycle. It's always great. And also Damon hit me with a little bit of a razz. We were like driving on the way back. I think we were talking about builds. I was like, hey man, you should try Aurora. Like she's pretty good on support. He's like, oh, you got that master yet? And I was just just out of nowhere. I just completely not having the conversation. It didn't come up at all. It just wasn't happening. It just out of nowhere.
Did you answer the question?
Yes, I did answer. I do not. All right, guys. So there's like, all right. So I've done that. Now I have facts, right? There's 3 heroes. I have at 6. Rampage, 4. Rampage, Aurora, Decker, and Steel. And at this point, I'm just trying to figure out which one is my current aesthetic as a hero. Like what direction I want to go in my life at this point. Like, do I still want to ride the Steel train? Or maybe I'm feeling a little chilly. Maybe I want to go with Aurora, right? Or maybe I like throwing rocks. So I think I'm gonna lock that down this week, and then I'll let people which direction I'm going in next.
Throwing rocks is always fun.
Yeah, throwing rocks is always fun, right?
Or maybe you'll like Morigesh, or maybe you'll like
that's
Shinvi,
that's it.
or
Yeah,
maybe
you never know, guys. You'll have to keep watching to find out. Will Mooney get his master stream? Find out on the next episode of Dev Stream. Yeah.
Oh, it's so sad. Before we get into your guys' question, I do want to show the Greystone comic that you guys that Damon actually created. So if we could get that up on screen. So it's on Reddit as of right now. You also posted it on the forums. You finished it recently.
Yes, today.
Okay, today. All right. So this
just
is
posted the last. Yeah.
I'm trying to let me see where did I last?
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert, everybody!
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh my god.
Very awesome stuff here.
This is awesome.
Thank you.
Now, if you guys have not seen this, I'm going to zoom up just a little bit. Again, you can head over to Reddit or the forums. They're there. This is just incredible stuff. This is the type of stuff that we really love here at the studio, and seeing some of the passion that you guys have to contribute your own personal work and heart and soul into the game is it motivates a lot of folks here at the studio to see this. Like I said, this went around today at the studio. I got an email about it like, hey, did you guys see this?
Like, yes.
Like, yeah, we did.
He is going to be here.
So, again, from the community, you guys out there, just show your love and support for people that are doing awesome stuff like this. Really appreciate the effort here. Now, questions from you guys. What do you guys want to know? Let's see what we can answer today. Hard hitters.
Hard hitters. Some questions. I talked to you about this earlier in regards to Morigesh. Her ult's global, right?
Yes.
So say, and it just comes out of the ground and stabs people in the face.
Yes.
So if you're Gideon and you're mid ult and it does that, does it come all the way off the ground and stab him, or does it like mid air and then?
I haven't actually seen it.
My assumption
is
it's centralized around like the
hero.
The hero
like
itself.
like
so he would be above where Gideon is in his ultimate, and then just stab him. And if he killed him, he would come out of his ultimate just dead.
That would be terrible.
He would just die out of his ultimate. Yeah.
Like,
that might actually be a cool shot.
Yeah, that would
that
be
like the black hole happening while these insects are just like, nope, that's not.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen that interaction, but I would imagine that the way they've set it up is that it attaches to the hero, and then comes off the hero. Yeah.
It looks terrifying.
I
don't know.
People just don't know.
No,
they're not ready. It is very terrifying to play against.
Yeah, it looks crazy.
Other question you guys have?
This is something on the forums that I've seen a lot of in regards to just like the map in general. Do y'all plan on, or is there any plan on doing something like a day-night cycle eventually with the map? Or is that something that's...
Jordan has talked about this in the past on...
He was on
our
the
AMA.
Yeah, it was the Reddit AMA.
It's definitely something that the team wants to do.
Yeah, it's like they like the thought of it.
They like the thought of it, but just the tech to get that up and running is going to be challenging. So I would say if it did come in at all, it would be down in the future.
Down the line,
Okay.
But first we got to get the map started.
Oh, right.
Right. So, it's something that Jordan, I think, that excites them thinking about that. But there's some challenges behind it for sure.
Gotcha. Okay.
Damon, you got it, man?
Yeah, so I know a lot of times during these live streams, there's always someone that asks about a storyline tidbit of the new hero. Do you guys have anything to give us today?
So, I thought very long and hard about this because we provided a pretty in-depth lore story for Morigesh. I will say that, at least from a snippet that wasn't in there, Narbash wants to meet her, and I don't want to speak on as too much as to why, but Morigesh is very interesting for Narbash as a, I would say the way that these characters interact, they would have very interesting kind of dynamic. So I would be interested to hear more from Brian. Maybe we can do this during Lore Week or something like that, where we talk more about some of the relationships between the heroes. But yeah, Narbash wants to meet Morigesh. I don't know if that's good or bad for him. Find out next time.
Maybe some dark ceremony where he plays the drums and she conjures up a bunch of bugs. And
something like that, yeah, for sure. So today we do not have a stream to follow. So we can hop into questions from the chat. If you guys had any more from you guys, then we'll let you guys go and start touring around with Ed.
Cool.
So, any more questions from you guys? No? No hard hitters today. We'll get some hard hitters in the chat for sure.
We'll get some.
Oh, yeah. We'll let them deal. Yeah, we'll let them give you guys the trouble.
All right. So, really appreciate you guys coming on. We'll
out.
definitely be talking some
having
more.
You on. Yeah.
Hopefully you guys at home enjoyed today's stream. We're going to stick around for a little bit and answer chat while these guys head out, but we will be right back. All right, guys, welcome back. We are going to hit up the chat. We're going to answer some questions before we head out for today. We're going to try to answer maybe a little bit more questions than normal just because we don't have a stream. Neither Damon or John are streamers. So, again, we try to, as much as we can, diversify who we have coming out. So, really important for us here to make that apparent. I will say the next person that we have coming out for Revenant is an amazing artist. I've
heard some good stuff.
And they're working on something that is quite the treat. Quite the treat indeed. So, first question I see here is from Kid Foolish asking, are there any skins coming out for heroes? I feel you guys are focusing on the core popular heroes. that is not entirely true. I would say that with each new hero, we try to, as much as we can, introduce skins for other heroes. But one of the things that I think is really important and I kind of mention this every now and again, I've posted about it on the forums, and our Korean team has actually had this information. Their community was very interested in hearing more about Paragon, but wanted to talk through like our skin building process and how long it takes. So I don't think people realize how much, and you guys heard the dev team up here, how much effort it takes to just make a tier 2 skin. So, our tier 1s, and when I mention the days here, it is actual hours work, not like only a certain amount of days. It's like the hours, 24 hours worth of work time in these day periods. So a tier 1 skin, for example, takes 5 days to complete, and that's 5 days worth of hours. So 24 times 5 hours just to complete one tier 1 skin. And then the tier 2s, I want to say, take 20 days of hours, and there's 20 days worth of hours. And then tier 3s take, I want to say, 60 days of man hours. And then I don't know what tier 4s are because we've not done a tier 4, but that is the equivalent of a new hero. And our new heroes take anywhere from 9 months or more to create. So we have to be 9 months ahead of schedule in order to do these heroes for just releasing a new hero. But for skins, again, if it's a tier 4, it's probably in that same vein. So you're talking about a new model, new rig, new animation. So when we talk about skins and the numbers that come out and the amount of skins that we put out, very early on, we had to get a baseline for how we would actually make hero skins. So you'll see like a lot of skins for steel was a great example, right? So we kind of front loaded a lot of those because we needed to understand, how do we make a tier 1 skin for Paragon, right? Like? In this high fidelity, high polygon game, how do we make a skin that also looks equally as awesome? So the art team takes a lot of time to make these skins, and it is no short of a miracle that we are able to pump out some of the things that we do at this pace. It's absolutely insane.
And it's like one of those things where like you hear about the little ideas and stuff that add to like the process. Like you hear about Mark and like Mike working on these like concepts when they like are doing like even that in that process, and like even in the skin process, I'm sure like people having ideas in the process kind of makes that a little bit better. Like that like adds that flavor to the skin, so when it comes out, you can almost feel like the people working on it, which I think that's the cool part of it, really, is like seeing in the process, seeing the team grow and people, seeing the different skins that come out, like, because Morigesh, don't get me started.
Dark Heart,
those skins are insane.
Rank system. So we've mentioned this in the roadmap blog. It is a competitive game mode. I don't know if we're going to call it ranked or whatever it's going to be called, but yes, we do plan on having a competitive mode. There are no definitive dates, but it is something that we are targeting for this year, which is based off of the roadmap blog. So we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we can introduce that. Travel mode animations when no date for you, simply Brian there, but I know that's something that folks care about. I believe Dave Nash said that they are working on trying to reintroduce those, but I don't know where or how or when that would fit into the current schedule. Are there any changes for Kalari in the works? I actually don't know. There is what we are working on, and I gotta talk about it today a little bit, but Community is going to be working with the design team. You guys will have the lead hero designer, Cameron, and Mooney. Us three will be kind of doing a community design discussion, and we're gonna talk about, at least in the first one that you guys see, we're going to talk about our balancing schedule, how we're trying to balance, and then we'll get discussions about hero-specific stuff. And I'll try to ask a lot of the questions, or Mooney will try to ask a lot of the questions that you guys have specifically for the designers, and I think we might probably make it like an open forum, we'll probably so we get some of your guys'
get some area for you guys to like drop your questions and let us know what you want to ask, like your top things, like the things you want to hit on, like I'm curious about this in the process, and like where does this fall on like priorities and things like that. So
we plan to actually shoot the very first one. This is not going to be like overly produced. We want to be very grounded, down to earth, talk to you guys about some of this stuff, and they can share their thought process about things. But that is something that we have on the schedule. I believe Friday is the first day we shoot the very first one. So yeah, that's moving on. But I don't know what specific plans are coming in for Kalari, if any. But whenever I don't know, I typically say there's no changes planned. But that doesn't, as soon as the designers come in, like, these are the list of things that we have, we'll try to list it as soon as we get that information. Yeah, there's some questions. How does it take that long? 5 days for a tier 1? I'm telling you guys, it's a tough.
Well, I mean, even when Chris started talking about like the bone spline stuff staying on the skin and little things like that, I don't think about that stuff. But when you get into game, that's something you might actually notice because the skin, like the skin not being the same color, like different skin tones, like you are more inclined to notice that stuff. And then you're like, that may be the thing that throws you off. Like people say, like this game feels good to play or things feel good to play or look good. These are all the things that go into the process of making this stuff feel good.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's really important to understand because for me, the longest time it was hard. It was for me. Giving feedback's always difficult. It's like, hey, this feels bad. And it's like, all right, that's
why is the Discord community never noticed? That's not true. We actually tried to get a Discord moderator on. We'll try to get her on again, but with Janelle for a while. I mean, we try to be involved in as many places as possible. There's some folks. I believe on Discord, John's name is Disco Panda. Like he's on Discord.
Yeah, he's on Discord.
Yeah.
Like
he's
Twitter's
in Discord.
Disco Panda. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think a lot of folks don't realize that when you say Discord community, a lot of folks that are in all of the other places that we post or have them on are actually in the Discord community themselves. So when you say that, it's really all encompassing, but it becomes hard to determine in chat, at least, how we can delineate like this person here on Discord on a chat service is like, someone that we want to bring out, and then we'll see, oh, they're also here, and they're also here, they're also here. So, yeah, that's definitely something we try to recognize wherever we can. Will there be a sandbox mode? That's a popular question that we received quite a bit. That was from Cubers, I believe, is who asked that. There's no plans as of right now for sandbox or anything like that. But, I think that from a game mode perspective, we're trying to see what's going to be the most effective for the game. And right now, we mentioned in the roadmap blog, we're working on PvE and another PvP mode. So, I think that we are definitely, we want to make progress, but sandbox as of right now, not on the timeline, not on the schedule. Will the stair glitch be fixed with the jungle redesign? I'm talking about the popping when you pop up. I don't know. I don't know specifically.
Yeah, because that should. I mean, if you run into the same issue, like reach out and please let us know. Like this is a thing
for sure.
This is the time, like with all the map changes and stuff coming in. Like let us know. Reach out about that. Reach out about anything you may run into. Any feedback you have, please tell us. This is an important time, and it's super helpful.
My day is going well. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, somebody asked why I always look guilty, like I did something wrong. I mean, Will says that too. Will tells me, he's like, why do you look guilty? When he like walks, Will just like see me in the hallway and he'd be like, you look guilty, what did you do? And I'm like, nothing, I'm just
walking.
I'm just living.
Just trying to live my life.
I'm just trying to live my life, guys. let me do that. I'm just trying to be here.
Voice lines. This is another question that we get a lot, and we try to answer whenever we can. Whenever we answer one of these questions that you guys see pop up a lot, make sure if you see it, you go, hey, they talked about this on the dev stream. Here's the answer.
Yeah.
And we see that a lot all the time from you guys that do that. But voice lines are work in progress. As soon as we can get them in, hooked up, we will try to push them out. But there's no ETA that we have on getting them working in game. The process for it is quite strenuous. I don't think people realize to get voice in game, you have to like find the actors and the actresses in the different languages, get it logged to that region, get it back, make sure the log works and it fits, come back, then there's a review process, and it's a very complicated process. It's not just boom, we recorded and it's in. It's a pretty hard process to go through. When is Lore Week planned? There is not a date yet, Don Craftian. We have to talk with Brian Kindrigan, who is the lead writer for our lore, to kind of do a schedule, so to speak, of like when things would fit based off of what we have coming out. But I did take all the ideas that you guys gave us for Lore Week, put them in a big document form, and they're kind of looking at what could be the timetable for that. All right, we'll do 3 more questions. You see anything?
Somebody wanted to know where we got these desks. So that's
Clint?
Amazon. So
there you go. Do I have fingers?
Oh, yep, can confirm. These are
jazz hands.
Non-web deck builder.
There are no plans to bring back Legacy. I saw a question, will we ever bring back Legacy? There may be assets that might be used, but no plans to bring back Legacy.
Are any bot changes incoming soon? Wow, that's actually a good question. We actually have we had some cool bot updates in this update that we actually got them last minute. Like they sent the email and then let us know that there's some cool bot updates coming. Bots are like jungling and stuff too.
Hey.
Like they're attempting to jungle and stuff, and like there's some really cool AI stuff coming in actually. Like this is an area where like I'm actually like it's always Miesh just killing it. We got some great AI programmers here. Like these guys are. Yeah, I killed someone. Yeah, that's what it is. I'm an inherent. Stop. These aren't things.
That's always funny whenever you guys type in chat, when you see your name, like you see a bunch of stuff for whatever reason. It's just human nature. You see your name.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Nathan is a naughty boy.
Jesus,
I saw that.
Don't say that. That's not. Ooh.
That was funny. There are no plans to buff towers. Mad minute. We're gonna end in 1 minute. Any plans to balance supports? I'd be interested, Monter Lee, what you would like to see balanced.
How you think support should be balanced.
So if you have any suggestions on the forums, head over there, let us know. What are actually conditions to which a player can get together? I didn't see that. Was he talking about Discord? That was going way too fast.
Yeah. If you want, good resources for meeting other players to play Paragon with, Discord, Reddit. The Reddit has a looking for group. You can check that out and check out the Reddit Discord as well. I mean, the Discord on Reddit as well. And then, people are always reaching out to, try and play games. Check out some of the awesome Twitch streamers out there. I know they do some, matches with their viewers. So, there's tons of opportunities to get in great matches of Paragon with some good people.
Iggy rework. It's in progress, guys.
Yes, it is in progress.
We are revisiting Iggy's kit. It is in progress. Working on it. No ETA for you. And I'm going to call it last question. Do you see anything?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wait, scroll up, hold up. I saw something. I saw something interesting.
Oh, here we go. That's a good one from Kruth. Maybe you can answer this?
Yeah, so are the dev team going to update the tutorial of the game with more things? Because this is one area, onboarding and that new player stuff. This is something really where we want to try and make it a little bit easier for people to understand some of the MOBA concepts. And one way of doing this is like you saw on that home screen that's coming in the next update, and you'll see in the blog later this week, we have daily quests.
Yep.
And similar to the weekly quests, we had the daily quests and we'll have some stuff for players to do, and we have the daily login, which kind of guides you through that process of unlocking the heroes and getting these different resources. And I think our goal is to, over time, after getting feedback from players and really understanding what that new player experience looks like what it looks like coming into that game, whether I'm coming from a veteran perspective or I'm coming from this perspective where I have no information whatsoever, what are the best tools for you to succeed in learning a MOBA? Because that's the biggest thing really with MOBAs, is that high barrier to entry where you have all these things you need to learn, and it's us finding out and doing the research on what are the best ways to do that. So I think we do have plans in the future, nothing intimately outside of some of that home screen stuff that already has it kind of baked in, but we are constantly looking at improving that that onboarding new player experience.
All right,
it's important to us.
Who's the next hero after Revenant?
Stay
tuned.
It's that hero. It's the one after Revenant.
All right, that's it. I'm signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed today's stream. Watch through today to watch or look at some of that gameplay that we had going. There is no community live stream that we're hosting afterwards, but make sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, follow us on Twitch. You guys can stay up to date. We have the Play with Community stream
Wednesdays.
And we have that new community design video that we plan on getting out here very, very soon. So hope you guys enjoyed today's stream, and I'm going to sign out.